speak, man. This is not a time to clam up, and not a time to get frightened. You have to do what you have to do. This is dire. I just want to express it in a positive way. I want to turn everything painful into art.
You react to the pipe bombs. Are you afraid personally ever?
Apparently, I was threatened on Twitter, so I don't know. I didn't see the thing. I heard there was, some severed goat head, and I'll see you soon, kind of thing. I can break bread with anybody in this country. I love people in this country. I love the heartland of this country. It has nothing to do with that. These really negative forces like the Steve Bannons of the world are convincing us that we're separate, that we're not the same country, that there's two countries. There's not two countries. It has to do with, it's become obvious that the choice was a bad one. We just need to change it. And if you can't vote for a Democrat, at least let all this flood of information that's so negative. Hard to understand what's going on. I really, 1 minute you feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, now the landslide's going to start, and then there'll be some other weaselly little, sidestep they do. Or you can make a bad decision about a candidate. It's not who you are. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're different. It doesn't mean, the trouble with what's happening right now is these, this administration is a rabid dog, and it's turning us upside down. And all, as far as I'm concerned, it's as obvious as the nose on your face.
Me feel good. When you were a kid, would you draw caricatures of your friends, etc.?
I did. I drew pictures of my teacher.
Oh, really?
And I don't have any of those with me. She actually stole. Wow, look at this! I can do anything with it. Not working. Oh, they got you coming and going, man. You know what I mean?
That is remarkable, I have to say.
Incredible transformation.
It is an incredible transformation. Who was the teacher you drew?
Watch this.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Remember Jim Carrey, the wild, wacky star of Ace Ventura? That era of goofy antics and rubber-faced humor is a thing of the past. The man who once had audiences in stitches with his over-the-top comedy has undergone a dramatic transformation. Today, Carrey is known less for slapstick and more for his unapologetically sharp political commentary, especially his fierce criticism of Donald Trump. His latest move? A scorching visual takedown that blends satire with provocative, often brutal artwork, lighting up the internet in the process. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. Believe it or not, over 92% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's totally free and makes a huge difference for us. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Now, back to Carrey. Whether you remember him as the cable guy or the guy who literally talked out of his butt in Ace Ventura, there's no denying his comedy defined the 90s. With hits like The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, Carrey ruled Hollywood as the king of physical comedy. But those days are long gone. In recent years, Carrey has emerged as a bold political voice, one unafraid to call out what he sees as corruption, incompetence, or threats to democracy. His weapon of choice? Art. Carrey's unfiltered critiques often take shape as vivid, controversial paintings that portray Trump in grotesque, satirical forms, from a deranged sorcerer to a snarling beast. These images shock, amuse, and provoke, and they're designed to do exactly that. The reaction? Massive. Love him or hate him, Carrey commands attention. His latest artwork sparked a firestorm across social media. Supporters hailed his bravery, while critics accused him of going too far. But one thing's for sure, his message wasn't ignored. This isn't just another celebrity using fame to stir the pot. Jim Carrey has become a fierce advocate for truth and accountability, using his platform to challenge power and inspire dialogue. Through his biting wit and confrontational art, he's reminding us that humor, no matter how dark, still has the power to wake people up.
This administration is a rabid dog, and it's turning us upside down. And all, as far as I'm concerned, it's as obvious as the nose on your face.
I mean, a lot of it, really, truly.
Yeah.
That is a way
My secret is making the wrong choices, but committing completely.
No, I don't think you have. My favorite movie, and I love many of them, is Cable.
Trump is toast.
I like that one.
Trump is toast. Yeah. Yeah, man.
And so you just kind of digest the news of the
it's
day.
It's an affirmation. Working, not working. Oh, they got you coming and going, man.
Morning Hitler.
This is a bad angle for me. It's just a bad angle for me.
No, you look good. Yeah.
Stay away from this angle right here.
We can swap
got a
if you
giant
need.
screen there with the worst angle I've ever seen in my life.
Well, yeah.
I get home. Yeah. Folks, I'll be asleep before my head hits the limo seat.
Can I make you more comfortable? Maybe you'd like to lay your head on this phone.
Axes in her head and things like that. Yeah. It's like I hadn't learned how to be correct yet. Yeah, she took them all.
Some good is coming out of this stuff. This is Robert Mueller.
Robert Mueller putting the squeeze on the president. That's Space Force.
That's the Space Force, yeah.
That's the beginning of Space Force. That's right.
Jim Carrey's journey from zany comedic legend to outspoken anti-Trump activist didn't happen overnight. In the days of George W. Bush, Carrey's political comments were mostly playful, light-hearted jabs that barely made ripples outside of celebrity fundraisers. Audiences were far more interested in quoting lines from Ace Ventura than hearing him weigh in on government policies. His early political musings, gentle and infrequent, flew under the radar. But behind the scenes, Carrey was undergoing a transformation. Personal hardships and battles with depression led him down a path of introspection and spiritual searching. He began to question not just his own purpose, but also the deeper structures of society, corporate influence, political manipulation, and the illusion of control. By 2008, during press tours for his films, he occasionally voiced his concerns. But his commentary was often drowned out by questions about his next comedic role or the possibility of another rubber-faced performance. That all changed when Donald Trump entered the political spotlight. The quiet reflections gave way to a loud, unfiltered roar. Carrey abandoned the comfort of crowd-pleasing comedy in favor of bold activism. No longer satisfied with making people laugh, he sought to make them think. His medium? Art. Vivid, unapologetic paintings that portrayed Trump as everything from a deranged beast to a grotesque caricature of power. These weren't just political cartoons, they were visual declarations of dissent, meant to shake viewers from complacency. Carrey's art has ignited fierce debate, drawing both praise and backlash. But whether people love or loathe it, they pay attention, and that's exactly the point. The man once defined by outrageous antics has found a new kind of voice, one rooted in conviction rather than comedy. Jim Carrey may never fully escape the shadow of his absurdly iconic characters, and perhaps he doesn't want to. But his evolution from slapstick to social critic proves that even the loudest clown can become a clarion call for justice. It's a reminder that reinvention is possible and sometimes necessary when the world demands more than laughter.
Times he criticized capitalism without a conscience. And that's what we have now. We have capitalism without a conscience. He showed the common man being fed through gears of the brutal, dehumanizing industrial age. He took on the American right wing of his day, its worst evils: hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today. In America, in the United Kingdom, across the globe. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? Give them health care? What is the sinister plan here? Sure, I can afford the miracle drug for restless leg syndrome. I should take the pills, I guess. Now, there are generations growing up right now who are learning to lie, that lying is okay, that we are parentless, you know? And we are babysat by the television. We're taught how to think by the television. That's the dangerous time.
Donald Trump's infamous descent down a golden escalator in 2015 didn't just mark the start of his presidential campaign, it signaled a seismic shift in American politics. Like many at the time, Jim Carrey initially saw it as a strange, almost comedic sideshow. It felt absurd, even laughable. But as Trump's popularity surged, Carrey's tone took a sharp turn. During a 2016 appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher, he delivered one of his first major anti-Trump remarks, comparing the candidate to a sleazy used car salesman with a bad spray tan. What started as bemused jokes quickly morphed into serious warnings. By the time Carrey accepted his award at the 2017 BAFTA Britannia Awards, it was clear that something within him had changed. His speech, though laced with humor, carried an unmistakable undercurrent of concern. The trademark goofy expressions were gone. In their place stood a man deeply unsettled by what he saw as rising hostility, selfishness, and a crumbling sense of democratic integrity in the United States. That moment marked a turning point, one where the laughter came with a sting and the jokes held weight. This evolution spilled over onto his social media platforms. What was once a feed filled with quirky photos and feel-good mantras began to transform into a digital gallery of resistance. On Instagram, Carrey's posts shifted from playful to piercing, featuring vivid, confrontational artwork aimed squarely at Trump and his administration. But these weren't just angry celebrity rants, they were carefully crafted pieces designed to provoke thought and conversation. Carrey wasn't chasing attention, he was pushing for awareness. Perhaps most striking is how he repurposed his comedic arsenal for political warfare. The same rubber-faced performer who built a career on slapstick and absurdity was now mimicking Trump's exaggerated mannerisms to deadly effect, using parody not just to entertain, but to expose. His videos, often absurd and biting, went viral for good reason. They struck a chord. Carrey wasn't just venting, he was deploying satire with precision, channeling his outrage into art and advocacy. His transformation from beloved clown to bold political commentator wasn't a reinvention for relevance, it was a response to the times. In a world spinning faster toward division and disinformation, Carrey chose to wield his platform as a tool for truth. The man who once shouted, "Alrighty then," is now delivering something far more urgent and meaningful. With each painting, post, and parody, Jim Carrey reminds us that humor, when fused with purpose, doesn't just entertain, it enlightens.
I'm glad some good is coming out of this stuff. This is Robert Mueller.
Robert Mueller putting the squeeze on the president. That's Space Force.
That's the Space Force, yeah.
That's the beginning of Space Force. That's right.
When Donald Trump descended that golden escalator in 2015 to announce his candidacy, most comedians, including Jim Carrey, laughed it off. But as Trump's campaign gained real traction, Carrey's tone darkened. On Real Time with Bill Maher in 2016, he called Trump a used car salesman with a terrible spray tan. It got laughs, but there was something deeper brewing. That seriousness came to the surface at the 2017 BAFTA Britannia Awards, where Carrey delivered a heartfelt speech denouncing the rise of hostility and selfishness in America. It wasn't just comedy anymore, it was a cry of concern. His social media followed suit. Light-hearted selfies and quotes gave way to scathing political artwork, aimed directly at Trump. Critics on the right dismissed him as another out-of-touch Hollywood liberal. Fans on the left applauded his boldness. His rabid dog metaphor for Trump made headlines and arguments. Crude, sure, but also effective. It captured a mood, chaotic, volatile, and impossible to ignore. What made Carrey's pivot stand out was its intensity. He didn't just post angry tweets, he painted Trump as a green-faced witch, Trump as burnt toast, Trump surrounded by flying monkeys. These weren't lazy caricatures. They were vivid, surreal, and deliberately unsettling. Visual grenades lobbed into the digital town square. Some saw them as brave satire. Others called them juvenile scribbles. Either way, people were talking, and that was the point. In fact, Carrey's art stirred more headlines than his recent movie roles. His message was clear. In turbulent times, comedy and art can become tools of resistance. The man who once made fart jokes a cinematic event now speaks in metaphor. And this time, America is listening.